Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down through the generations. But what if those legends were true? My name is Miranda Young, and I'm the Ghost Biker.
Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday night. Happy almost end of June. We're almost over here at 4th of July. And you are watching the Ghost Biker Garage. And I'm your host, the Ghost Biker. Hope you guys can hear me okay. I am in a new area and I was trying to get my sound and everything going here. But yeah, I'm in a new area of my house here. We've been working on the Ghost Biker Garage. I am almost got everything ready now. It's about time to start with the decorating. So very, very excited about this. Hope everyone's having a good evening. Just want to say hello to the folks over here into the chat room. Hello, Sylvain. It's always great to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in tonight. And Mr. Daryl Paulette there with Clover Hill Village. Hope you're doing well and staying as cool as you possibly can in this extremely hot time. James Brady from over there in South Carolina. Hello to you and Kim. And thank you so much for confirming the sound. Yeah, so excited about tonight's show, doing something kind of a little bit different. We're going to be talking a topic-based show here. Hello to Miss Sonia Thompson, all the way down there in Georgia. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Okay, so like I said, we didn't have a show last week. My business partner, Dr. Christy Sumner, she was out of town last week, and we weren't able to get together. She was over in Switzerland, and so whoops, let me fix this. No wonder this is sounding kind of weird here. There we go. Trying to, after moving things around, my sound and stuff is a little bit wonky. Give me 1 second. Let's see if this works. There we go. Okay. Does that sound okay? I had to fix my microphone here. For some reason, it was conflicting there with my headphones on there. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Looks like everything is good now. Yeah. So anyways, we didn't have a show last week, and then we also didn't have a show the week before when we had on the Jailhouse Informant podcast, because Chris was over in Switzerland, and but we're excited to be back. We had a good show earlier, talked about some really fun and interesting things that we had going on there at the jail. And so tonight we're going to be having a little topic where we talk about something that, we sort of kind of touched on a few weeks ago about cats, and how they're connected to spirituality, as well as just some of the history of it, and then maybe some of the experiences that you guys have had with our furry friends. Just looking over here in the chat room, making sure I've not missed anyone. Hello, Miss Kim Brady. And of course, Bob Burnell, dear friend. It's always good to see you. And Miss Nancy Weems. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so just kind of take care of a little bit of business before we get started here about some really fun and interesting things that's going on over the next little bit. So if you've been following the page, as well as if you watched the last show, we have a really big motorcycle ride coming up on this Saturday. It's our Rolling Through History ride and museum tour, and it's going to be a 98-mile motorcycle ride with a 1-hour lunch stop there at R.M. Brooks General Store, and then it's going to end with a hour and a half long tour of the historic Scott County Jail. It'll be a guided tour. We ride through some very beautiful and historic countryside up on the Cumberland Plateau there. And what's really cool about this ride is that it's not an overly challenging ride, but it's got some great swooping curves and more importantly some extremely beautiful countryside here. The stop there at R.M. Brooks, they're having their Biker Appreciation Day. She's serving up, her world-class hamburgers as well as her award-winning bologna sandwiches and homemade cut French fries. She has a very extensive menu there at the general store. So we'll be stopping there for an hour-long lunch. She's having the Biker Appreciation Day. She's going to have live music, giveaways, as well as custom stickers that she's going to give away. She gives away a different sticker every year to our bikers. And then we will head on out and finish the ride. And it will end there with a tour of the jail. You will get a poker chip, historic Scott County Jail poker chip. Let me actually blow this thing up so you can see it a little bit better here. You will get a historic Scott County Jail poker chip. I'll be giving away a kickstand holder there that will be in your packet that you'll get, and then your souvenir ticket. And then just we've got a couple other special little things that we're including inside of your packet when you purchase your ticket. Now, because space is limited on the jail tour, I am capping the ride, and we are extremely close to that cap. I'll quit selling tickets at midnight tonight unless we reach our cap beforehand. It's the jail is a really tight space. So it's kind of hard whenever you have a whole lot of people. What we'll do whenever we end the ride is I'll be giving the tour as well as my business partner. And so because we have so many people, we'll probably split it up into 2 different tours so that we can accommodate enough people. And then, so that's why I have to cap it. Plus, a lot of people don't like to ride with a whole lot of bikes. So it can be a little bit tough. We don't have blockers on this ride, and we don't have, when it comes to the ride, we don't have a lot of left-hand turns, thankfully. So we don't need any blockers. But so we're trying to keep it small, keep it manageable, and we're really excited and looking forward to that. Then that's going to be taking place there on Saturday. Now, again, to get the tickets, go and visit our website, historicscottcojail.com, or you can go on to Facebook under the Ride and Museum, Rolling Through History Ride and Museum Tour, and you can book your spot on there. It's got a link for as well. It's $25, and if you have a passenger, it's 50. So anyways, definitely check that out because we've had such a high demand for that. We once we stop ticket sales, we will go in and we'll add another ride for another date because we've had a lot of people that are very interested in that. That being said, so we've got that coming up. I want to show, we just announced our new t-shirts there at the jail. Very excited about these. Actually, instead of holding it up, I'm going to pull up a picture on there that'll just kind of show things a little bit better. They are a gray shirt. People like black, but if you're like me, you've got a lot of black shirts. And so we went with the soft gray. And so it's got the patriotic Scott County Jail logo. And then our tagline for our bikers living free behind bars with the jail and the American flag and the Scott County Jail logo on the back. So we're really, really excited. We just got these shirts in on Saturday, and so we've got them in the gift shop, and we're hoping that our bikers like them as much as we do. It's a very, very soft. The shirts are Toltex brand, and they are extremely soft. So yeah, we've got those on our online store. If you are unable to come into the jail and pick one up, we do have them on our online store available for pre-order there. And I'm excited. We also just got some new Ghost Biker shirts. It's a little hot to be talking about hoodies and such, but I've got green. This lighting doesn't do it justice, but I've got heather green hoodies as well as burgundy Ghost Biker hoodies. And we just got a full order of gray shirts. I know some folks ordered those from Wisconsin, from the Wisconsin Bigfoot event, as well as black hoodies. I've got some of those as well. So anyone that's put an order in for hoodies and t-shirts at the last events that we had, those shirts are finally in, and I'll be shipping those out tomorrow. So thank you all for your order. The purchase of those, they allow us to travel, to put the seasons of the show out. So thank you for your support, and thank you for out there sporting that Ghost Biker merchandise. And Sylvain, thank you so much. We're really, really excited about the shirt. Like I said, the lighting doesn't do it justice, but yeah, it's a pretty badass shirt. So, all right. So that's taking care of some business. We do also still have gray Ghost Biker hoodies as well as the black ones, and hopefully have a new Ghost Biker t-shirt design here very soon that I'll be putting out. So anyways, now, so kind of let's get onto tonight's topic. You've probably seen my fur babies out and about, and actually what's kind of funny is they're actually both laying, or all three laying down there in the floor. So, if you know me, I'm your quintessential crazy cat lady. The cat distribution system has smiled very, very gratefully on me, and my farm here has become a dumping ground for local cats. And so I was never much of a cat person. Anybody that knew me in years past, I didn't dislike them, or I didn't have any type of thing against them, but I was more of a dog person. I had a little red dachshund that was my best buddy, named Sugar. She lived to be 17 years old, and she was with me through thick and thin. She traveled with me when I lived down in the Chattanooga area. She traveled 2 hours with me every weekend to come up and see my folks. And then after she got to be 17 years old, she started having some health issues and unfortunately passed away. Well, just before, it was probably about a month before she passed away, a orange polydactyl cat that is named Cheeto, he showed up at my house. And I wasn't really looking for a pet because I was traveling for work a whole lot. But when a cat shows up, how can you say no to it? Especially when something shows up and it's hungry and starving. And so anyways, I took Cheeto in, and from that point on, cats just seem to follow me and appear. And I found them to be really quite fascinating creatures. I said at that point, I'm 45, and I had Cheetos since I was 40, so I said it must have been like that typical stereotype that turned 40, all of a sudden the cats start showing up. So I now officially, I guess I have um, 5 cats here in my life because again they keep just showing up, and I get them fixed, and the ones that are pregnant, we try to rehome them. Christy now has 3 cats at her house because of, as you can hear them, they're fighting behind me. Christy now has 3 at her house, but anyways, it's I guess total in my life. Of course, we have Sally there at the jail, and some of you have met Sally in person, and she's, oh my goodness, and she is just truly one of a kind herself. But I kind of started at that point. The more cats that kept, I know, right, James? Just say no. I mean, they used to always say that dachshunds were like potato chips. You couldn't just have one. And I thought that to be the case. But apparently, whoever said that has never had cats or experienced cats. My problem is they show up. They give me the sad Puss in Boots eyes, and then of course I name them and feed them, and then all of a sudden, apparently they're mine. Um, but um, but yeah, so after they all started showing up, I kind of started doing some research. I was really fascinated by some of the mythology and the folklore and just some of the stories that is associated with cats. Um, Now, it's I really didn't give it a whole lot of thought before, and then you started experiencing, because they really are not just fascinating, but just really almost very, very strange creatures. Again, I'm gonna just oh, and of course one just jumped right up on the table here. This is Cheeto, the one I was talking about, and Cheeto is kind of a special little guy. He's actually a polydactyl cat, and I don't know if you can see it, but he's got thumbs. So he's a 6-toed polydactyl orange cat, and he's, I think, the one that started all of this. So just kind of looking at the comments here and saying hello to anyone else that has jumped on here. Hello to Ms. Dee Dee. I know she is a fellow cat lover herself. Nancy says, my mom had 50 hanging around her house. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine 50 cats. Now, after the way they multiply, I think they're like gremlins. They get wet at night, and then all of a sudden they expand. But yeah, and that's what I've been trying to do here, is to actually really keep control of the cat population. So I had my indoor cats, and like I said, I had Cheeto, and he's a very social guy, and so it was kind of funny. I had him for, I think, about 6 months, and Christy, we were actually out scouting and filming for an episode that I had in season 3 of Ghost Biker Explorations, and just kind of jokingly, she said, "When are you going to get Cheeto a friend?" And I said, "Yeah, maybe sometime down the line. I'm traveling too much. I'm not really looking for another pet." And sure enough, as we were driving down the road, just after she said it, literally, we're driving down the road to my mom's, and when we turn off the highway, there's this tiny little black and white tuxedo cat sitting in the middle of the highway, really just minutes away from somebody hitting it, because I mean, it was getting dark, and he was just this little tiny could fit in the palm of your hand. He ended up only being about 4 weeks old, still had blue eyes. And so we pulled off and picked him up and took him to my mom's house. And because I had to go film the next day. So I took him to mom's house, and she's like, you're not going to keep him, are you? And it's like, well, we'll deal with that later. And fed him. And of course, Cheeto took right to him. And so I named him Pixel. And so for a couple years, it was Cheeto and Pixel in my house. And then of course, Sally showed up at the jail, and she's our jail mascot. And when she walked through the door, I had a conversation with her and said, if you'll work, you can stay. And that cat takes her job seriously. If you follow the historic Scott County Jail page, you'll know that Sally absolutely is the queen of the castle there. She dresses in costumes and she loves going on tours. She loves people. I've never seen a shop cat that had that kind of personality. I always kind of had the mindset that cats were kind of aloof, and they were kind of, just sort of very independent and not really the most friendly. I guess I had not been around the right cats, because my cats are totally the opposite of that. And so, so Sally had actually had kittens when we found her, or when she showed up, but we never saw any of the kittens. We tried to find them. There was a house not too far from the jail. We thought maybe that she had had kittens under the house. We never found them. And you could tell it was kind of, they must have been weaned from her. And so about 6 months later, another cat that looks very, very similar to her, has the same face, same kind of temperament and personality, shows up at the jail, a kitten. And so he would have been about 6 months old. He showed up when I was doing a flashlight tour. And so I tried to find somebody else to take him, and we couldn't get anyone to take him. And so he is now part of my brood here, Bandit. If he comes around, I'll pick him up in a minute. Just the most chill, good-natured cat. And so that was my 3 boys. Not going to take any more in. Silly at the jail, my cat's here at the house. And then all of a sudden, after I move over here to the farmhouse, one of the neighbors had an overabundance of cats that just kept multiplying. And the father of all those cats showed up at my house. Sweet as can be. I ended up naming him Toby and feeding him, because he was very poor and very hungry. And yeah, exactly. 17 cats later. And we could probably have a 3-hour show, me telling stories about that. But Toby was interesting, because he showed up here at the house, and he brought a little female tabby cat that looks just like Sally, but only smaller. And she was pregnant. And so she delivered 2 kittens. And one of the folks who watches the show here, I don't think she's on tonight, but Miss Susan Purcell, she ended up taking those cats on. I got Gypsy, the mama, fixed, but Toby decided to bring another cat that looked just like Gypsy here. A week after Gypsy delivered her kittens, Toby brought another female cat here, and she was pregnant. She was pregnant with a litter of 4, and so ended up delivering those cats, and found a home for one of the kittens ended up passing away. It didn't survive birth. And then, so there was 3. We were able to rehome one of them. And then 2 others, Chris ended up keeping, and she ended up keeping Foxy. So she has Foxy Siren, and Junior. So that brings, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 cats in our life, all in general. 3 at Chris's house, 5 at my house, and 1 at the jail. Ended up, like I said, getting all of those fixed over the process of time and building a catio out by my garage to hold the cats. And I'm amazed because, they have you hear the term herding cats, and it's just kind of makes your head spin. But the 2 outside cats that I have, it's really crazy because every morning I let them out. They stay here at the farm. They kill field mice, snakes. They keep all the varmints away from the house. And then at dark, I just go outside and I'm like, okay, night, kids. And they literally march to the pen. And the pen is a 12 by 12 caged room on the carport of my garage. And it's got, you've probably seen it on my page. It's got shelves and all that where the cats can lay up high on it. It's they actually really love it. So, and shout out to my friend Sonia Thompson for helping me put those shelves and building all that out. She really helped with that. So I have a really soft spot in my heart for folks who have kindness toward animals, and so I appreciate the help on that. So yeah, that's how I came to be the crazy cat lady. Hopefully, fingers crossed, no more kittens, nothing more showing up, because it's kind of funny. I call my farm Feral Pussy Farm, and so Feral Pussy Farm is closed. It is closed. There's no more room here for cats. But just going to kind of look at the comments here, and yeah, Dee Dee, yeah, they absolutely just appear. It's like I said, the cat distribution system. They must have felt like I needed some protection from evil spirits, because that is one of the things that people think about when it comes to cats. And so I feel like my farm is very, very well protected. And she says, I'm the cat lady for sure. They just show up. Bob says, I have heard cats are spiritual guardians for us, their owners and friends. Absolutely. That's one of the things that I found during my research, was that cats were, that was one of the big things, is that they were spiritual guardians. And I have to say, it's interesting, before my dog Sugar passed away, there was about a 6 or 7 month period that every day, it did not matter if I was having a bad day at work, if I didn't feel good, or if it was usually if something was wrong, if I was upset about something, felt bad, sick, or was just absolutely stressed out, this little solid gray and black tabby would show up at my house. And he would it's almost like he would appear. He would, if I was sitting in the back of the house, he would, and this was when I was living in Chattanooga, he would cut across the neighbor's yard, come over. If I was in the front, he would come across the front yard. Didn't matter. I don't know where he came from. I don't know who he belonged to. He didn't appear to belong to anybody. So I nicknamed the cat Spirit, as in spirit animal, just because he just kept showing up. And he showed up, for about 6 months, he would, without fail, I could count, if I was having a bad day, that cat would show up. So I have no doubt. And then being somebody that's really into Appalachian folklore and legends and that sort of thing, one of the things that my grandma used to always say was that don't sleep with a cat, or don't let a cat sleep with a baby, because the cat will steal the baby's breath. My grandma used to always say that. And then also when my other grandma passed away, she had several cats with her, and they mourned. And I always kind of joked and wondered if, because you always hear that they're guardians to the afterlife. We'll talk all about that here in a few minutes. Nancy says all the neighborhood cats found. If I didn't feed them, they found their real homes. Yeah, that's 100% true. I just can't stand to see any. I'm a Taurus, and so I, I like food, and that's one of the things. I like to feed people and feed things, and so it's not above the realm of possibility for me to feed cats. Sally is absolutely the best and so special. She is such a different animal. Half the time I even forget that she's an animal. Let's see. James says you can't tell me Sally dresses herself in those costumes. Now, I will say I am not the one that dresses Sally up. That is all Christy. And I think that Sally sometimes clings to me a little more when Chris has been dressing her up. But that cat doesn't seem to mind. I mean, when I told her she was going to have to work for her job and her home, she took it to heart, and that's exactly what she does. Let's see here. Dee Dee says, how interesting that he would bring them to you. How smart is that? That's what I always said. I kind of joked that, so I named him Toby, but I call him Tobias Abraham because he's the father of many. And it seems like the cats get in trouble, and so he knows where to bring them. But he did. It was really funny because he had been showing up, and then we had this major ice storm. He shows up, and I end up going outside to feed him, and there's this little small gray and black tabby. She wouldn't let me touch her. She was very feral. After feeding her a little bit and sitting outside petting her or trying to pet her, she finally warmed up. She's not really warm to too many people, but when she had her kittens, she actually had them in a box by the door, and she found me just before she delivered her kittens, which was kind of wild because a lot of the time they'll go off to have them, especially if they're outside cats. And so it was funny because she had her cats when we had this major storm system and tornado come through the area. So I couldn't bring them in because of my cats. So I took them to Chris's, and it was a week later while she was at Chris's. I go outside and there's another tabby there, look about the same size as Gypsy, but a little bit browner. So I called her Foxy because she was kind of a brown tabby cat. And it was like, apparently Toby has a type. He likes the gray tabby cats. But yeah, he brought her to my house and brought her when she was pregnant. So very strange, but very smart. And these cats are very bonded. It's the coolest thing. Bob says Toby needs to get a job. Toby acts like a protector. It's pretty wild. He's very bonded, and yeah, but he needs to get a job, and it doesn't need to be fathering other cats. Of course, now he can't because thankfully I was able to take him and get him fixed. Let's see here. It's another good point. So Dee Dee says they protect you in your sleep. And that was something that I thought was really, really fascinating about this. So a lot of the time, they'll wake you up in the mornings, first thing. And so I was reading about it that a lot of the time people think that they wake you up because they want food. But one of the things that it was saying was that cats are light sleepers and they keep an eye on the house and stuff at night. And a lot of the time they're patrol at night because they're diurnal. I think that's how you pronounce it. They're diurnal animals because um, they're not. They're both. They sleep a lot, like sleep up to 18 hours, but they're awake day and night, and they're very light sleepers. And so one of the things that they'll do is when we go to sleep and we go into a deep sleep, it they get concerned about you being in a deep sleep. And so that's why a lot of the time they'll wake you up in the morning. It's not just to feed you, but or have you feed them, but it's also because they're concerned about you that that you may have passed away in the night. So that's a good point. They're supposed to protect you in your sleep. They're also you might find this interesting, Dee Dee. I'll get to what you were saying here in a second, Sonia. I had taken notes here. One of the things that scientists had found, because they're pretty heavily studied animals, but one of the things that they found was that people reported having less nightmares whenever a cat was in the house, and when they slept with a cat. That they had done a study over a several year period of different people, and that they people had less nightmares when a cat was around. So that would be kind of an interesting study to continue with. Sonia says, by the way, her grandson has arrived. Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. I know you've been anxiously waiting for your grandson. So that is awesome news, and congratulations to Ashley and Sonder and little Zoe there. So everyone's sending their congrats. Let's see here. Dee Dee says cats usually don't like it, but Sally seems to. Again, I think Sally is just a totally different breed. She, most, I've never really experienced female cats, and maybe you all have had different experiences. I've never experienced female cats that like to be held and cuddled as much as Sally does. And so she likes that. She absolutely loves people. When somebody walks through the door at the jail, that cat will stop what she's doing, and she has to go greet people. And it's funny because she likes to go on the tours with everyone as well. Let's see. Daryl says, I was always told the term "don't let a cat sleep with a baby" was because the cat would smell milk on a baby's breath and accidentally smother the baby. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's a better explanation of it. I always heard that they would steal the baby's breath, but that makes sense, that they would smell the milk on the baby and smother them. So yeah, that's something that we always heard as well. So thank you for explaining that. Let's see. Nancy says, I heard a cat bite my big toe through. I had a cat bite my big toe through a blanket. Yet Cheeto, being an orange cat, he's got that orange cat behavior, and he'll bite regardless of bite your feet, bite your toes, bite the other cats. Dee Dee says, they sense your nightmares. Mine always taps on my arm. Wake up, wake up. That's interesting on our deep sleep. That's a good point. So do you think that why do you think that is? Do you think that because they always say that they can see in different dimensions, and that's one of the points I'm going to bring up here in a minute. They say they can see different dimensions and protect and stuff. Do you think that when we dream, we are in a different dimension? And do you think they're seeing the dream? Or do you think that they are seeing a different reaction in our bodies? Maybe, maybe they're seeing eye movement behind the lids, or detecting a different sense of breathing or something of that nature. Um, I'm really interested to see why that'd be the case. I think that would be a really cool dream study to do, and to maybe do a study of people who have cats and see what their dreams are. Because I can honestly say, since I've had all these cats, I can honestly say that I don't have as many dreams as I used to have. I used to have very, very vivid dreams, but I don't remember them like I used to. And actually, for the most part, sleep really well, especially after having cats. Um, let's see. She says, my gizmo is a social butterfly. She is also a tabby. I think that's got to be just kind of a standard behavior for tabby cats, because every tabby that I've ever had, except for Gypsy, the little feral one that was outside, but she was feral, so that's kind of a different situation. But Selly, Bandit, and then of course Cheeto being an orange tabby, I think that must just kind of be a common trait for a tabby cat. Bob says, my cat would kill me if I tried to put a collar on her, let alone clothes. Yeah, that was my experience with cats in general before everything. We got a few more comments here. We'll get to those, and then I'm going to read a couple little things here. Sonia says, my mom's cats will make me say hello if I don't acknowledge them. That's funny. And then Dee Dee says, I think my cat can tell when I'm in distress. I've also had my cats in my dreams. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. And I think that's what it is. I think they're picking up on those cues. And so she says that she's also had her dreams talk to her have her cats talk to her in her dreams. Sylvain says, it'd be cool to know, interesting to know if if their chakra systems are the same as ours. That would be really interesting, because I think that could explain a lot of what we're experiencing. I have, I've never looked into that. And then Dee Dee says, I read tabbies are the original cats from Egypt. I'll have to look into it. Yeah, I think so. That's where, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's where the domestication of or the traditional domestic house cat came from, was in Egypt. But there's really, I've got my notes here. There really is a lot of history when it comes to cats in different religions. That originally they're looked at as divine protectors and symbols, excuse me, symbols of mystery. And to me, that makes a lot of sense, because they're so unpredictable. If they, I've got one trying to get in my lap. I think that mystery just really kind of, you can really see a lot of that in their personality, and just I guess in their whole makeup. Now, in different religions, they're highly regarded in Islamic cultures. I read a story where Muhammad. It says that Muhammad once cut off his sleeve rather than disturb his cat Moeza, who was sleeping on it. Which it makes me think when I'm laying in bed and there's a cat in my lap. Instantly it's like, okay, I can't really do anything else because now there's this cat laying there, and I don't want to disturb her. She's set her spots, so I don't want to disturb. Ancient Egyptians worshipped cats and associated them with the goddess of Beset. And then, of course, most people have heard of Freya from the Norse religion. And, she was associated with love, beauty, fertility, love, beauty, and fertility. And that she rode a chariot that was pulled by cats. So there's a lot of history when it comes to religion. I know they were very well respected in the Hindu religion, as well as, come on now, you don't have to do that, as well as the Buddhist practices. So cats are really highly regarded in a lot of different religions. They're linked to, like we said, they're linked to protection as well as good fortune. And they say that different cats' coats or different types of cats has different symbolic meanings. Just I mean, as in general, not just here in the South, but in general, people say, if a black cat crosses your path, it's supposed to be bad luck. But black cats were actually, in a lot of different cultures, not just associated with bad luck. That's typically in our tradition, but in a lot of other cultures, black cats are actually considered to be good luck. In the Chinese culture, they're considered to be to symbolize good luck in love, and I mean, there's just a whole list that black cats being associated with good luck. Now, just to make sure I don't miss any comments here, Bob says, I had an incident. I think I shared it with you in the past, but briefly. 3 a.m. My cat Sadie wakes me up, and in a nutshell, I think we were attacked by a spirit or spirits. My cat Sadie was running around at my ankles with her belly close to the floor. Someone was banging at my door. Scared the shit out of both of us. Very loud banging at the door. Never opened the door, but looked through the window, and no one was there. Anyway, Sadie was clinging to me. At first, I thought she was afraid, but on retrospect, let's see. It cut off. It cut off the end, Bob. You can't leave us hanging. Oh my gosh. I don't know why that cut off. So if let me know what else is. Let me see if there's a way to. No, it doesn't allow me to go any further on that. But that's really interesting. So what else was going on at that point? Do you have any idea who that spirit may have been, or what the spirit connection was? I'd be interested to hear, because it's interesting that you were both experiencing that at the same time. I mean, you were both on the same plane with whatever whatever you both were experiencing. That's actually really interesting. I'm going to see if. Okay, let's see. Bob says, at first I thought she was afraid, but in retrospect, I think she was trying to protect me. Gotcha. Yeah, I think that to be the case. I think animals in general, they've got that protection. Um, uh, I'm at a loss of words. They have that. They're here to protect us naturally for the most part. Um, so so yeah, I would say that's probably the case because that's what Toby does for me. I think his goal is to protect his women. Think I'm one of his women now, so I can understand, um, you know, that reaction. Um, let's see. Uh, And then Dee Dee says, my cat Binks, a black cat, showed up a few days before Halloween. I feel my girls were manifesting a boy. I love that. They probably were. And that's actually really cool that you found him before Halloween. I know that around here, a lot of people, uh, it's really dangerous for black cats around Halloween because of people do sacrifices and do crazy, insane crap that is just inhumane. And so I'm glad you were able to take him in there at Halloween. And I think that's just a good for me personally. Other people may not look at it as a good omen, but I think that's a good omen finding a black cat at Halloween. Um, Daryl says, I used to work a farm when I was growing up, and the farmer had a cat that would sit on the fence till a bull walked by and would jump on the back and ride the bull like a cowboy. That's pretty crazy. Um, wow. Wow. What I wouldn't give for a cell phone to be able to capture that. Huh. That's that's pretty cool. Um, wow, I'd love to see that. Let's see. Dee Dee says, I read that too. I don't get up when my cat is sitting on me. Yeah, that's just an unspoken rule. You can't do that. She says my cat Gemini brought me a paper mache up on my bed. She pulled it out of one of several boxes. It was an email from my grandfather. I had printed it, said, tell everyone I said hello. Wow. Wow. That's that's wild. Um See, that's the other thing somewhere here in my notes. Um Cats are people believe that they are that they send messages, that they are messengers from the afterlife. And I mean, you can't get more. Wow, you can't get more of a messenger from uh, than that. I mean, that actually really gave me chills reading that. That's wild. She says he had died years ago. Wow. And Binks is an awesome cat. And then she says, so weird, right? I told my family, he said hello. Everyone was touched. Yeah, I firmly believe that was truly a message from your grandfather. And that, yeah, I mean, that, wow, like I said, that just gives me chills. I love it when stuff like that happens. I mean, and good on you for being observant on that, because I think sometimes the simple things can be lost on us because we're always so busy and doing stuff. And I think it's important to sit and look at things like that happen, because a lot of the time you'll get a much deeper, richer meaning when you do, because there's no such thing as coincidence or happenstance. I mean, I believe that truly was a message. That was really cool. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Bob and Daryl, for sharing your stories as well. Um, Anybody that's got any other stories like this, please put those in the comments, and we'll definitely get to them. The like I said, cats, they're linked to good fortune and protection. I really enjoyed reading this story. Let me find it here. Talking about ship cats and cats being linked to good fortune. That sailors would often keep cats on their ships. And that kind of goes back to the Viking tradition of things. Um, and, it wasn't just the obvious, because obviously keeping a cat on a ship to control the rodent population, and also for companionship, but they were seen as symbols of good luck. And it was believed that cats on ships could also control the weather. And so having a lot of cats on your ship was thought to help to have calm weather and calm seas when you were out there. Polydactyl cats like Cheeto over there that's going into my kitchen. Cheeto is he is polydactyl, and those cats are especially considered to be good luck. And a lot of them like to have the six-toed polydactyl. Say that 6 times fast. The six-toed polydactyl cat on their ships, and that's actually where Hemingway adopted his belief. If any of you have been down to Key West, to the Hemingway house, there's so many beautiful cats there, and the majority of them are the polydactyl cats, which also got the nickname of the Hemingway cat. And so he was gifted a cat. Snowy, I believe, Snowy or Snow White. I believe it was Snowy, and that cat was a polydactyl cat. And so all the cats that are there at his residence. I mean, I forget, I don't know how many they have now. I know there was a lot when I was there, but they were considered good luck, and that's where he adopted that belief from. I just love that story. But New Age, the New Age view of cats is that cats are spiritually attuned animals, and that they can sense energy and often protect us from negative forces. So, like I said, I think that it's kind of weird that, co-owning a haunted jail, where our spirits, we don't have any demons or anything like that in there, but we were a jail, and then doing what I do with the paranormal. It's kind of funny to be completely surrounded by cats now. I feel like I've got this army fortress surrounding me. And then cats have often been thought to appear as angels or spirit animals, or deliver messages from beyond, which is what we were just talking about with Dee Dee there. She says, I agree. We can be too busy to notice sometimes. I think that's just in general. I think that we tend to get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything. I thought this was really cool when I was researching, and so there's the 5 spiritual superpowers of cats. And so one, it said that they help to cleanse your, and this kind of goes into talking about the chakras a little bit. Sylvain, I definitely want to research that a little bit more, and kind of see how that falls in. But they help to cleanse your aura and emotions. Cats will often, it's believed they will often absorb suboptimal energy from their humans, clear their auras, especially after travel or trauma or exposure to energies that are considered suboptimal. And it'd be interesting to know. I know that when I travel or when I go places, especially when I'm on an investigation. This was kind of strange. I've noticed when I travel. So this past season, I was in the antique store, and I get it. I know when you're in there, there's all kinds of smells and all kinds of crazy things that you're exposed to. That an animal that has like 100 times the ability to smell, all these different smells. I know they're going to pick up on a lot of that. But every time I go on an investigation, and I'm curious to know if any of you all experience this, when I go on an investigation, if I take my clothes before I put them in the hamper, if I put them on the floor, either in the bathroom or in the bedroom, one of my cats will inevitably just like lay on it and just roll and smell. And it's more when I'm on investigations. They don't, I mean, I can go out and mow or work outside, and they don't even pay it a second thought. And they're experiencing a lot of different smells and sensations there. But when I go on investigations, it never fails. Or if I do a live investigation there at the jail, I mean, they smell that location all the time. But when I do investigations, they are all the time sniffing my clothes, just hanging out all around me. It's really kind of fascinating. I'm interested to see if any of you all have experienced that as well. Sonia says, Mom's cats stare at my dad's picture on the wall. He passed away 3 years ago. That's that makes me that makes me really sad. That because they did Sonia, did your mom's cats have a connection with your dad? Did they know him, or did she get the cats after he passed away? That would be kind of interesting to know. If you want to put that in there, we'll jump back on that here in a second. James says, I know I've probably asked before, but does Sally ever react to spirits at the jail? She does. And that's a really interesting point. And I'm going to share one of the videos showing about how she reacts with the spirits there. Let me table that question for just a second. And Sonia just typed here. She says they came after he passed. That's interesting, because I would have said at first, that maybe they were missing him. But that is interesting that they showed up after he passed, and that they seemed to be really enamored with his picture. Yeah, I guess you never know what he's seeing. I feel like they see on a different plane, and I feel like they see a lot of things. So we'll get to the other questions and everything here in a second, but jumping back to James. Yes, Sally has experienced a lot of interesting things there at the jail. I remember when she first came, we were honestly a little bit worried about letting her stay there by herself, because I mean, a lot of things happen. We didn't want anything to harm her or her to feel uncomfortable in any way. But we never had anything that seemed like it harmed her, and she never seemed like she was upset. I can remember one Christmas, we were closed for the Christmas holiday. And so I went in to feed her. And while I was scooping her litter box, I heard what sounded like footsteps on the stairs. I was the only person. Chris was out of town at her family's. It was late in the evening. And so I heard somebody something on the stairs. And if you've been to the jail, where her litter box used to sit was right there at the base of the stairs. We would close off the second and third floors at night, and we would also close off the gift shop so she couldn't go up there. And so she's sitting there. I'm squatting down beside her, and she looks at the door where we heard the footsteps on the stairs. And all of a sudden, I watch her eyes and she just kind of starts looking up, almost like something was walking toward her. And so she just kind of looks up, and then all of a sudden she turns her head and watches over there, and then she turns it completely around. So whatever had come near walked into this room, came back, and then walked in behind. And it was funny. I was trying to watch her eyes to see if I could see any type of reflection in her eyes. But this cat was hyper focused on something. It wasn't a bug. I mean, it was literally like she was watching something come up to her and then move on. Also, there have been times when we've been upstairs cleaning, she comes up, she'll go over to the cells and she'll start reaching into the cells like she's playing with something. She'll step back, she'll run off, she'll come back to the same cell, start, reaching through the bars like she's playing. And then there's been times we've been on flashlight tours, and one of our very active areas at the jail is the women's cell up on the third floor. And so, as we were in there, we do a little session on our flashlight tours. We give people K2s and we listen to music, see if we can establish communication on the tour. And sometimes it is dead quiet. And so it's interesting because there have been times that Sally has walked in the room, the K2 meters start going off. Like whoever's in there is like, hey, Sally. And then other times we've been sitting there and Sally will all of a sudden roll over and start purring like somebody's petting her stomach. It's the coolest thing. Now, I'm going to show you a video. I wasn't sure when I was going to show it, but I thought I would just go ahead and and show it now. Some of you have seen it, some maybe not. We have since moved our gift shop and our ticket booth up to the bank building where we're at now. Sally has also moved up to the bank building. She will stay down there for tours sometimes on Saturdays when we're really busy, because she really likes going on the tours. But for the most part, she stays up at the bank building. And it's just it's a smaller, cozier, more confined space. Plus, it's warmer for her because there's carpet on the floor. But we like to let her go back and forth because she helps keep the rodent population down. Now, when she lived at the jail, we would always keep the door to the gift shop closed at night. We'd keep it open during the day, but we'd close it at night because we didn't want her to go in and get on all the merchandise. Well, one morning when we came in, excuse me, she was not waiting for us at the front door like she typically does. But yet we heard her meowing, just like she was distressed, meowing, and it was coming from inside the gift shop. Now, the gift shop is one of the former cells. The door is a 250-pound cell door, and the door is also inset. So when it closes, there's no seam. I mean, it's a jail cell door, or it's a jail door, so it's very, very tight. Sally is a very stocky, plump little girl. She's got little short legs. She's real plump. And so I don't know how she could have opened this door, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this for you. If you're listening with headphones, you might actually hear the voice that we hear before the door opens. But we couldn't figure out how she got in there. So we pulled the security camera footage, and this is what we experienced. So we're going to play it, and then we'll talk about it after. Now, so a couple things. Let me stop this. Um, so there's a couple things to note on this. Let me remove the, okay. So when you can see up here, this video was taken on June 22nd. Wow, that was almost to the date. So 26th. So June 22nd, 2023. And interestingly enough, it was at 5:12 in the morning. And so a couple interesting things to note. The door does open twice. And then on the third time, it opens again. And I love to show this video on tours because I like to let people try the door. So what we'll do is I show them this video on our flashlight tour inside this room. And then as we leave, I let people try the door. The door, we have to keep the door open with the door stop because it automatically wants to close. Again, it's a 250-pound door. Now, a couple things to notice. When the door opens the first 2 times, there's reverb. It opens and it closes and bounces every time. The third time, when it opens and Sally is pushed in the room, the door slams really, really hard. Now, Sally has never been able to open this door before. She's never opened it since. And if you can really see the door, you'll see it would be nearly impossible without breaking her little foot for her to open the door and then come around and let herself in and to come in the way that she comes. Plus, like I said, the door slams on that time. Now, if you're listening with headphones, I don't know if you can hear it over this, but if you go and watch it on our YouTube channel, the third time the door opens, there is actually a male's voice that you can hear that says, "What's in there?" We don't believe that anything was there to harm her. She's a cat. Cats can be a little bit obnoxious sometimes. We think that she probably was wanting in this room, and whoever was out there was finally just like, "What's in there?" and just, put her in there. So I'm going to play it again. Notice that with the door. And if you get the chance, put your headphones on and listen, and hopefully you can hear the voice beforehand. So here we go. Yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of an interesting thing. We always try to come up with a logical explanation. Always try to debunk stuff, or at least come up with a possible reason why whatever happened could be happening. And so with that, we never really could figure out what. Again, like I said, she'd never opened the doors before. She had been living there. She'd been there for a year and a half already, and she never did it since. And like I said, if you listen with headphones, there is a voice just before or just as that third door is opening. It sounds like it's male, and it's just a real deep whisper. And so anyways, it's kind of creepy, but we don't believe nothing has ever harmed her. But we don't believe it. That's why the door was opening like that. Just kind of looking at the comments here. So yeah, it is like she saw someone. That's kind of how we feel. And then just the way she meowed after. So after I got in that morning, let her out. She meowed all day long. She didn't want to go in there because she was in there from just after 5 o'clock in the morning until 10:30 that morning. So she was in there for a good 5 hours, and we have video of her. She paces for a little bit, meowing and is upset, and then eventually she just kind of lays down because during the day we have that door open. She would go in and out, never had any problems in there. But I will tell you this, after that, it was still about a year and a half before we moved into or no, we moved into the bank building earlier this year. Yeah, so it was about a year and a half after. She, she just, we would lock that door at night because we didn't want anything to, we didn't just close it, but we would actually lock it with the keys because we didn't want anything to open the door and put her in there again. Let's see. Sonia says, I thought it was crazy cool when Christy recorded those footsteps and Sally was looking up at the steps too. That's a really good one as well. Yeah, so Chris had, she was working one day. She was working in the booking room and heard what sounded like somebody running upstairs or scuffling or fighting or something. And so both she and Sally run into the room, and you see Sally sitting there just looking up toward the second floor and Chris looking up, and she was able to capture it on the recorder. So Sally definitely sees and experiences things there, and it's really, really quite fascinating. And Dee Dee says, it's so weird. The door should not be opening and closing. No, it shouldn't. There's no draft. I mean, this door, when I tell you this door is a heavy, heavy door, it's a 250-pound door. And so, and there's no seam, there's no lip on the door for her to grab and swing it open and come around the side. It's weird and it is creepy. Dee Dee says, if the cat did that, then she would do it again. Doesn't seem like the cat. And then the voice. Yeah. We actually had my friend Tiffany pointed the voice out at first when I showed it to her. She heard the voice instantly without headphones. And you can hear it. It's a weird voice. I mean, there's any given day, I mean, with just me and Chris, there's no males inside the building there. But there's definitely no males inside there at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. You know what? This is a good point. James says there were a couple weird artifacts in that video. There appears to be 2 spots where Sally's paws were that disappear when she turns back to the door. Plus, her tail looks transparent when she comes in. Okay, so that's interesting. And look at how fast she turns when she comes in. I'm going to play that one more time because I think I know the artifacts that you're talking about. And so one of the things I like to do with guys, especially there at the jail, is when we're on a flashlight tour, I like to have them slam the door and see if they can slam the door without the reverb. And it's really challenging. I've only ever had 2 people that have been able to do this. And one of them is a corrections officer. And he did it by, when he closed the door, putting his foot at the bottom of the door and closing it. It still vibrated some, but it was the closest to that slam that we were able to get. I cannot do it. Even if I put my body up against it and slam it, you still get like a vibrational reverb on the door. But I'm going to play it again and look at what James is talking about with weird artifacts there. The two spots where Sally's paws were that disappears when she turns back, and then her tail. So let me pull that up. And I'm going to look and see if I have that other video on here. I don't think I do, but we'll see. You have to wonder what she saw, what she experienced. I wish we had a camera out there in the foyer where it covers all those doors, but the problem is where our walls are so thick, and where the way that is, we couldn't drill there at the time. It'd have been interesting to see what was on that side. So either something opened the door and closed it, put her in and closed it, or maybe it came through on the other side and it pulled the door, and maybe that's why it was able to do that. I don't know. It's fascinating and definitely interesting. Bob says, I thought there was someone in the doorway. When the door swings open, you almost see something there. Yeah, I mean, it's it is interesting, and then Sonia says it's almost like a figure placing her in there. Yeah, when you see the way she comes in, we're able to determine by the police sign that's on the door, we're able to determine just how wide that door opens. And it's a pretty tight fit. I can't wait for some of you that have not been to the jail to come and to look at this, and experience this door and experience the room for yourself. You'll know exactly what we're talking about. And Bob says that door was pulled back quite a bit. James says must be some weird pixelization from the night vision causing that. That's very possible. You know how these cameras are. These were wise cameras. When things move, sometimes it can cause a pixelation or a trail. That's always a good. Excuse me. That's always a good possibility as to what could be doing that. Now, James has been there and has experienced the door. And it's a heavy door. Sally couldn't move it. I mean, she's very chubby, and she has the squattiest little legs. They're a lot smaller. My cats have real long legs, and she just has these tiny little legs. She's a squatty little thing. I want to make sure I have not missed any comments, because we talked about Sally. Let's see. Dee Dee says, I believe they can sense health issues and notice if they sit in a spot or claw you on one area. I've heard that. I know that there's animals that can like smell cancer and sense different health issues. I think that cats are able to do that too, because they definitely have those extra scent glands. And let's see here. See if I've missed. anything else there. And this is a good point that James mentioned. If Sally could move the door, then she would have gotten herself out. That's true. I think it would have been easier. I think that door would be easier to push open than it would be to pull. And that's what Bob says, easier to push than pull. I have no doubt she could have, and I have no doubt she would have done it again. So kind of jumping back on to what we were talking about with the 5 spiritual superpowers of cats, that the other thing is they have, it's thought that number 2, they have interdimensional sight. Cats can see other dimensions and lighter realms. They stare into empty spaces because they're scanning for distortions, spirits, and energy imbalances. So I don't know. What's your thoughts? I know they can see different light spectrums. All animals, for the most part, can see in other light spectrums. So, can they see interdimensional? Possibly. Number 3, they harmonize your energy when they purr, and this is probably one of my favorite things about cats, and this kind of goes into what Dee Dee is talking about with the health issues as well. So they can harmonize your energy when they purr. When cats are purring, they're repairing your aura grid and realigning the distorted energy lines. They create an environment where disease can't stick. And that kind of leads me to something that I was reading about. I just happened to see this a couple years ago about a cat's purr. And let's see, I've made a couple notes here that so it's believed that a cat's purr has many healing properties to it. Studies have shown, this was a study out of England on the BBC, that studies have shown that the frequency of a cat's purr, they tend to go between 25 and 150 hertz, that it may stimulate the release of endorphins, which relieves pain and has a calming effect. The vibration promotes bone growth and healing and may reduce inflammation and improve circulation. Many people find a cat's purr soothing and comforting. And one of the things that I saw is that it's thought that vibration from the activity of physically purring, or that purring physically rejuvenates the way that a cat heals itself after stress. The frequency of these vibrations range from 20 hertz up to 150 hertz, and that bones harden in response to the pressure. Other frequencies may do something similar to tissue. Purrs at a frequency of 25 to 100 hertz correspond with established healing frequencies in therapeutic medicine for humans. Bone responds to 25 to 50 hertz, and skin and soft tissue to around 100 hertz, according to researchers. And so I've always heard that was true. When I was younger, I accidentally hit our family's cat with my car. I didn't realize it was back there, and it broke its leg. And so we ended up taking it to the doctor, and the doctor was like, cats' bones, their bones are different. The fibrous in the bones, as well as they're like a very porous bone, and they heal different than like you and I, or even a dog would do. Their bones are in like these spindles, and so they rejuvenate more. And so it's thought that the cat's purr, that it can, because of the different frequency that the purr is at, that it can cause the bone regeneration. And the cat healed itself. I mean, we didn't have to have it casted or anything of that nature. It got okay, but that's something I've always found fascinating, is that with a cat's purr. And I'm a big believer in frequency healing. And I do a lot of binaural beats for stress, blood pressure relief, as well as sleep. And I mean, you can actually look, if you pour a glass of water and play certain frequencies, seeing the vibration at it. And so the fact that, we're made up of so much water, and then of course where they've been able to research that about connective tissues as well as bones, I have no doubt that there's some truth to that. There's a little bit of debate on where the purr actually comes from. Some people think that it's it was like I forget what the vessel there is that would send the blood into the right side of the heart. Others thought that it was almost like vocal. I'm drawing a blank on my words. Vocal, and I should have written that down. That. Anyways, I'll think of it here in a few minutes. But it's a squeezing of the vocal cords is what it is. It's not vocal fray. It's vocal something else. But anyways, cats purr for different reasons. Obviously there's contentment when a cat is happy and content, but they also purr whenever they're stressed. They purr whenever they're hungry, and they purr whenever they're sick. So you have to look at what's going on around, because just because a cat is purring, it doesn't mean that it's happy and content. And so I think that study's fascinating, because how many times have you been laying there and a cat will come and lay on you and start purring first thing in the morning? Well, most of the time it's because they're hungry. And so kittens would do that. Kittens would purr in order to get ready whenever they were hungry, and to let their mom know that they were hungry. And so it works for us, because the cat comes and starts purring on you. How many times do you get up and you feed them before you feed yourself? So lots of interesting studies on cats purring, and how it supposedly is healing. I definitely think there's something to that. And then number 4, they give you spiritual surgery whenever they need. Cats knead on you, or make biscuits, make bread. It says that when cats knead on you, they're opening layers of ethereal energy to reach and extract the root of emotional or energetic blockages. I don't know. Seems a little far-fetched, but a lot of people, the kneading thing a lot of the time comes from when they're kittens, and that's supposed to stimulate the milk from the mama. So I don't know. Seems it's kind of reaching on this, but hey, you never know. And then the other, they energetically grid your home. They naturally set up protective energy grids in their homes, and they maintain the home's energetic safety, and can even travel. I apparently cannot read tonight. Ethereally to protect when you are away. So, and we talked about how, in Egypt, they were guardians and protectors against negative energies and evil spirits. So I think that's why we don't have any of that at the jail, because Sally works really hard to keep that at bay. And some people believe that cats can sense when death is near, which would make sense, being one of the guardians to the afterlife. And There was what I said about a decrease in nightmares after people get a cat. Some people think that cats are gatekeepers, and that the Celts believed that cats had the ability to see spirits and guide you into the afterlife. So, you have all these different religions, all these different cultures that seemingly have these very similar beliefs when they hold them in higher regard there. We've talked about black cats, and we talked about the cat purr, and that petting a cat is thought to cut the risk of stroke and heart disease by 1/3. So I can honestly say that I used to have to take blood pressure medicine. Since I've got all these cats, I don't have to take blood pressure medicine anymore. I don't know. Could be a lot of things in that, but I'll tell myself that is a big reason for that. So anyways, just a few interesting things about our four-legged, furry, independent, crazy, cute little friends, the cat. It really is fascinating when you see nature and see how all these different things work together. And it's interesting, definitely, to hear your stories and experiences that you've had. I don't know. Some people, I don't know. Do you think that cats experience the spirit world different than dogs? Do you think it's an animal thing? I think these are all different and interesting points to talk about and to kind of look into. I'm interested to see, Dee Dee. I think you definitely have another dream experiment, and I'll volunteer to do anything with that, because I definitely have several here that we could do. But yeah, just definitely an interesting, different topic than what we had talked about before. Thank you all for suggesting that when we were talking about this a few weeks ago. It's been fun diving a little bit deeper into all this, and we've really just scratched the surface. Many animals have different stories about being either totems or spirit animals or spirit guides, or different, depending on the area of the country you're in, depending on your religion, depending on your culture. Different animals have different assignments of what their jobs are, or how they kind of fit into the spirit world. So thank you for listening to me. My cats are going kind of crazy over here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your input. I'm just kind of looking here to see if there are any other comments. Dee Dee says, I think they can see things that we can't. I definitely agree with that. And that they are healers, and that the purr is definitely calming. That's, I actually went online and found, because again, I listened to binaural beats. I actually went online and found several different cat recordings. And if I'm having an anxiety or panic attack, I can listen to that, and that just instantly, it calms me down. It's really wild how that happens. And Sylvain, definitely do some looking online. Look up some of the different studies of on cats purring and their healing properties, and not only how they heal themselves, but how it affects us as humans. Let's see here. Yeah, definitely create a study around this, because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've always I've done a couple different paranormal investigations where people have brought animals. And of course, we've done a couple live investigations where Sally was there during some of the investigations. And I think that that sometimes enhances. Who knows? Maybe having Sally around keeps some of the spirits at bay. Rugby Village over there has 2 cats that roam the village. We often see them when we're doing investigations, Blackie and Beauty. So I definitely feel like there's something to it. And I mean, how many of us have been sitting in our own homes? Those of us that live in active locations have sat in your own home and seen your animal focus on something that isn't there. As Bob said on his story, the encounter that he had. I mean, a lot of people, more people have experienced it that I know of than have not, that their animal has seen or experienced something either with them or experienced something that they've not seen. I mean, that they don't, that us as people don't see. So just absolutely fascinating. Yeah, thank you, Daryl. Definitely something different, something a little bit lighter, a little bit, a little bit just different. So, we will get back on to doing some more live investigations. If there is another topic that you would like for us to talk about, thank you, Sylvain. If there's another topic you all would enjoy us talking about, just shoot me a message and or drop me a line, and would definitely talk about it. Definitely got a couple guests that we're going to have coming on here in the future. I'm not quite sure next week if we will watch an investigation and kind of talk about that, or if we will do a live investigation, or if we will have a show. We will definitely have a show next week. This is going to be an insanely busy week. We have sold out tours tomorrow night at the Village of Rugby. They're having an adult summer camp there, and so we're leading ghost tours tomorrow night. I've got 2, and Chris has one that's sold out as well. And then we've got the ride on Saturday. Tickets are on sale for another hour and 15 minutes if you want to get in on that. And then we have a paranormal investigation on Saturday night that I'll be working after the ride. And then, of course, we'll be leading up to 4th of July week, which is always a busy week for us at the jail, especially with day tours. So I hope everyone stays safe in this extreme heat. If you are in the path of any of these storms this coming weekend, please be safe. And hopefully we will see you guys again on Thursday night if I don't see you at the jail or at Historic Rugby before. So anyways, good night, everyone. Take care, and we will all chat very soon. Good night.